All right, should be starting up live right now, guys. How's it going? Hope you guys all having a good Thursday. If you were here for the NBA stream, good to see you back in here. Off to a good start. Duncan Robinson, low owned, 4 threes. Tyler Hero doing well. Kemba Walker off to a good start. So, good start for me at least. Hope you guys had a good start as well for NBA. Give me 1 second. Let me tweet out the stream, then I'll jump into the NFL Thursday Night Football Breakdown. I mentioned it in my video that there are a lot of ways you can go for this one. A lot. First of all, like this game, I could see a shootout. I could see a super ugly game. I could see, defenses are playable. Both kickers are playable. There's some really cheap options that are good to go. Let's see. DK, what the hell is Brad Stevens' rotation? Yeah. I mean, Enes Kanter, I actually did mention him today. I was like, hey, there's you never know with Stevens, right? And Kanter's in the minutes. I'm not super surprised. I'm not what I expected, but Brad Stevens will do that. Kanter playing. If you had him in the showdown, you're probably going to win some good money. But yeah, back to NFL. Like I said, just brief overview. Like there's so many different ways you can go. It's all about how you think the game plays out. If you think it's a shootout, then playing both quarterbacks I think looks like a pretty decent option. If you think it's going to be an ugly game, maybe some turnovers, then maybe go one of the defenses or maybe go a kicker, right? So I don't really have a great feel on this. Like if you look at the odds, it's a 45 over under. Cleveland are 6-point favorites. Yeah, again, don't have a great feel. If I had to pick like who I would bet there, I would probably take the Bengals in the plus 6 points, just because the Browns obviously did not look great there last week. But all right, before we get into the player-by-player breakdown, let's take a look at the snaps again. If you guys missed the video, I already went over the snap counts, but I do want to go over that one more time. So I think it is important. I think this game's going to be super ugly. Yeah, I would not be surprised if it is. But yeah, let's go over the snap counts for both teams real quick, and then we'll get to the breakdown here. So for the Bengals, Mixon got about 60% of the snaps. He is the early down back. He's the 1 and 2, whereas Gio's kind of the third down back will come in. He's more the PPR back. Mixon can still catch passes. We didn't really see it last week, but he's a guy that's going to get you like 3 or 4 catches through the air. Wide receivers was, they used 3 wide receivers mainly with Ross, Boyd, and Green. Ross at 83%, Boyd at 80%, and A.J. Green at 66% of snaps. So they did use 4 other receivers too. Auden Tate played 22% of snaps. He is inactive tonight, so do not play Auden Tate if you're thinking about taking a shot. Don't play him. Mike Thomas played 22%. Higgins played 22%. Alex Erickson even saw a few snaps. So, where do Tate's 22% of snaps go? Probably a mix of like Thomas and Higgins, maybe a few to Erickson. I guess they could always add a few more to the main guys there as well. Tight end situation, Uzoma is their guy. He's going to play about 70 to 75% of snaps. Played 72% last game. Sample played 35% of the snaps. He is a dart throw, but playable on this slate at a really, really cheap price. What you really are looking for there, obviously, is just the touchdown. The running back situation for Cleveland is one that's been talked about a lot for this slate. It was about a 50-50 split there with Hunt and Chubb. Again, all about how you think the game plays out. If you think Cleveland is playing from ahead, I think Chubb probably looks a little bit better. He will be lower owned. If you think they're playing from behind, Kareem Hunt is your guy. He's the better pass catching back. He even saw more carries than Nick Chubb last game. Both are in play. I think Hunt will be more popular. If you think the Browns are playing from ahead, I think Chubb's your guy. If you think they're playing behind, Hunt's your guy. Would I play both? It's very, very. There's a lot of negative correlation there. You would really need probably like a Nick Chubb touchdown and at least like 3 or 4 catches from Hunt for their prices. So I probably wouldn't do that. I mean, it's possible they're both in the winning lineup, but you would really need a lot to happen for them to get you there. Wide receivers, Odell, Jarvis, about 75% of snaps. Hodge was the surprise. They're playing over 50% snaps over Rashad Higgins. and he's at the flat min. So we'll talk about Hodge. I think he is a dart throw on the slate, probably like my favorite of those like super cheap guys. Again, Higgins was the number 4, played 22% of the snaps. And then finally, tight end situation. Hooper's their main guy, 75% snaps. They do like running 2 tight end sets a lot here. Njoku got injured. He's out for the season, played 23% snaps. Those snaps have to go somewhere. I think Bryant probably gets a few extra. He played 42%. Carlson probably goes up a little bit too. So both Bryant and Carlson are in play as dart throws as well on this slate. All right. So let's just go, we'll talk about the flex position, and we'll just go, top to bottom here, I guess. The 2 quarterbacks, Burrow and Baker. 10-8 for Burrow, 10-2 for Baker. They don't look as good, obviously, as the first Thursday night game with Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. Those guys have huge upside. They have a lot more rushing upside. Burrow's still a guy that can get you a little bit on the ground. He's not a terrible rusher. Right? I think he had 46 yards on the ground, which is actually pretty good. Baker, a guy that can run the ball a little bit, but again, not as much upside as those guys in the first game where I was prioritizing playing 2 quarterbacks. I don't think you have to play both. You can, if you're playing both quarterbacks. The quarterbacks always have the highest floor on these showdown slates. If you're going for the floor, the safety, you can play both. If you think the game can shoot out, I think playing both probably does make some sense. So with both quarterbacks, who do I prefer? I think Burrow might be slightly higher owned, so give me Baker. Not a strong take, though, at all. Like, it's almost 50-50 for me if you're going to make me pick. Again, I think you can play both. I think you can fade both. That would also be super risky. What you would need there is a super ugly game, a defensive battle, and probably, all the touchdowns scored on the ground. So I think the safe approach is probably 1 quarterback. I think you can play 2. Playing 0, super risky, but viable in a game that could be ugly. Let's talk about the wide receivers. So we have AJ Green at 9K. I think him and Odell are going to be the most popular wide receivers on the slate. I have no issue with AJ Green at 9K. I think it's a fair price. The negatives to say about him are he's getting up there in age, and not a guy that's going to play huge snaps, and the injury history, right? He's a guy that's been dealing with injuries, seems like the last 3 or 4 years, so obviously those are some concerns, but he's a guy that I think will be popular. I don't have an issue if you get to AJ Green. I think he's at a very fair price there at 9K. Odell's at 8-2. I like him. Again, I think AJ Green and Odell will be the most popular receivers. If you're going to make me pick, give me Odell for the discount. Had 10 targets, only 3 catches. This is a better spot here against the Bengals than it was there against Baltimore. So I do like Odell a good amount at 8-2. Like I said, I think him, AJ Green, will be the most popular receivers. Jarvis is 8K. Was questionable, the hip injury. He's active, though, so it looks like he's going to be good to go. You kind of know what you're getting out of Jarvis Landry, right? He's going to play in the slot. He's a guy that will probably, he's going to run those shorter routes, can probably get you, 5 to 7 catches. He has a higher floor probably than like a guy like Odell, whereas Odell definitely has a higher ceiling in my opinion. So if you're going for safety, again, Jarvis playable at 8K. Boyd's at 7K. From what I've heard, not a lot of people are on Tyler Boyd. And the 7K price point, not getting an amazing discount on him, but it's kind of just a gut feel for me on this one. I like getting a little bit different on these showdown slates. Boyd's a guy that I'm going to look to for the reason of he's not going to be super popular. We have AJ Green. We have Odell Beckham on the slate, right? Those guys are going to get way more ownership than Tyler Boyd. We have some cheaper receivers or some cheaper plays that probably get some more ownership. So Boyd's just at that weird price at 7K that it makes it a little bit difficult to get to him. And for that reason, I kind of like him. So Boyd's a guy that I'm personally going to play for the ownership factor. I just think he's a guy that playing out of the slot wasn't amazing there week 1, but he played a good amount of snaps. Right, he was out there for Cincinnati. He played second most on the team, 80% of the snaps. I think people either go up to AJ Green and Odell or go down to cheaper options. So I just like the fact I think he will be lower owned. Like I would prefer Boyd to Austin Hooper. Hooper's playable. Again, Browns like 2 tight ends. He'll play most of the game. He was really good for Atlanta last year. He's fine, but I would probably give the edge there to Boyd at a similar price. Then they have the backup quarterbacks. Ross is at 5-2. He's the more boomer bust play. He did play the most snaps for the Bengals. he's certainly in play here. The floor is low, but the ceiling's high. Right, he's a guy that's going to run those long routes, those deep routes. If he catches one, that's kind of all he needs basically to hit value. If he catches like one for like 40 or 50 yards. So, sure, the floor is low on John Ross, but he's at a playable price. And again, he's going to run those big routes. So the upside is there on John Ross, more the boomer bust guy. Uzoma, another guy I think goes flies under the radar. 5K doesn't really stand out as an amazing price, but certainly playable. Again, he is their main tight end with Eifert out of town. I think he's a perfectly fine play here in the mid-range. Let's go back up, I guess, first, since I was going to wide receiver, then I kind of went to tight end, too. Let's talk about the running backs now. Mixon's at 8'6". Again, he is going to be their first and second down back. He's a guy that can catch some balls, too. Like, he's not like a Derrick Henry who's going to catch very few balls. Mixon's a guy that can go out and catch like three or four passes. So, 8'6". He had 19 carries, 69 yards in week 1. If you think they're playing from ahead, Mixon looks a lot better here. If you think they're playing from behind, I think Gio's potential value. He's the better pass-catching back. He played about, 25% of snaps, I think it was, Gio last week. Where do I have that? Yeah, almost 30%. So, I mentioned a lot so far, but all about how you think the game plans out. If you think they're playing ahead, Mixon looks good. Behind, you can take a shot on a guy like Giovanni Bernard. The Cleveland backfield with Hunt, with Chubb, it's kind of my same analysis. I think Hunt will be higher owned. He probably does have a slightly higher floor just because he's a guy that will utilize more in the passing game. Whereas Chubb's just, kind of the first and second down back. If they're playing from ahead, you could see a big game here from Chubb. And he might fly under the radar, so if you think Cleveland's playing from ahead, Chubb's your guy. Behind, probably Kareem Hunt. Again, I don't think I would play both. It's possible that they're both in the lineup, but you really need a lot to happen. Like, you probably need a Chubb touchdown. You probably need at least 3 or 4 catches there for Kareem Hunt. So that's basically everyone there at the top. The kickers are playable here, right? The game should be a little bit uglier. They're viable, right? The kickers usually have a range of somewhere between like 5 floor points, probably like 15 is their upside. So don't rule out the kickers. I mean, you can play one, you could play both. If you think the game is ugly, you can play both kickers. The defenses are also in play. With the Browns versus the Bengals, if you're going to make me pick, I'll give the edge to the Browns, but we have a rookie quarterback in Joe Burrow, and we have a guy in Baker Mayfield who's really struggled the last couple of years. So both defenses certainly in play at 4K and 3.6K respectively. Then we get to more of the dart throw. So Gio's a guy at 3K. I actually think it's a decent value here. If you think since the Bengals are playing from behind, which if you look at the odds, the Vegas odds, they're 6-point dogs, you can go to Gio. Not a guy that's going to play huge snaps, but if he gets 25 to 30% of the snaps, he's a guy that can get you like 4 or 5 catches. So Gio also in play for value. Again, don't play Auden Tate. He is inactive tonight, so don't play him. Then we get to the dart throws here. So let's go to Cincinnati first and talk about their like really, really cheap plays that are playable. Right, so Mike Thomas played 22% of the snaps last game. He's at the flat minimum price. Playable. Maybe plays a few extra snaps and no Auden Tate. I do prefer Hodge on the other side at a similar price just because of the snaps, but Thomas, playable. Drew Sample, backup tight end. It's a dart throw, but if he catches 1 touchdown, that's all you need. Playable, but not super excited about that one. Erickson, I probably wouldn't do it. He only saw like 5% of the snaps. It might go up a bit, but I'm not going to do it again. Don't play Tate. Higgins, it's just a little bit too expensive. I would rather play Mike Thomas. Both play the identical snaps, and you have Higgins at 3,200, Thomas at 200. Yeah, again, I would just take Thomas there for the discount. So those are the really, really cheap dart throws you can consider. On the Cleveland side, there are some. I think Hodge is probably my favorite really cheap option just for the fact of the snaps alone, right? He played over half the game, and he's at the flat minimum price. Or I guess he's $400. I thought he was $200. $400. Basically the flat min. I think he looks like the best, like, super, super cheap option. If you're going for guys like below 2,000, right? Hodge is probably the guy that I would look to for the fact of just the snaps alone. I think it makes him in play 100%. There are a couple other options here, right? You can consider a guy like Rashad Higgins. The snaps went down on him, though. I would feel more comfortable going to Hodge at a cheaper price point, who played more than double snaps with Rashad Higgins. Again, Njoku on the IR. And then finally, the two backup tight ends for Cleveland. We have Bryant. We have Carlson. Bryant played more of the snaps than Carlson, so I'd probably prefer him. Both at $200. Again, Cleveland does like running two tight end sets, so he did have 2 targets last game. I would prefer Bryant over Carlson if you can make me pick, but both are in play here for really, really cheap guys at the bottom. So that's really it for the player-by-player breakdown. At least for captain, quarterbacks are the guys that have the highest floor. So if you go one of the quarterbacks, make sure you get correlation. Right, if you're going Burrow, make sure you pair him with at least 1 or 2 of those receivers there for Cincinnati. If you're going for Baker, right, put a couple receivers there, or you can throw Kareem Hunt too. He's a good pass catching back, but make sure you get correlation if you're playing a quarterback in the captain spot. Who am I looking to? Well, like I said, Green, Odell are guys that have a lot of upside there at the top. I like Boyd as a contrarian play just because I think the price makes him a bit difficult to get to. Cheaper options, I don't hate taking a shot on a guy like Gio if you think they're playing from behind. And then maybe like all the way at the bottom, you can consider a guy like Hodge who played over 50% of the snaps wherever he is here. He's at 600 if you play him in the captain spot. Say we just throw him in the captain spot, right? That's 9.9K remaining. You can plug and play whoever else you want in there. So always a viable strategy of plugging in someone super, super cheap and then going from there. But I think that's really it for my breakdown. So let's get some questions here, guys. At about 50 viewers, if you guys enjoyed the content, hit that like button. It really helps me out. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Closing in now on 5K subs. 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, low-risk strategy. Yeah, I agree with that, right? Quarterbacks and running backs have the highest floor. If you're just going for that floor, bake probably like a lineup of, let's see. Like if you're going for the super, super high floor play, it's probably that or Chubb for Hunt, right? Like that's a super, super safe lineup for the fact of running backs, quarterbacks. They just have the highest floor on these showdown slates. I got $500 in the Browns. What do you think? Are you putting that in the money line? If it's a money line, it's fine. -6, yeah. Like if I had to pick, I would probably take the points with the Bengals, but that's just me. Good stuff, bro. Keep it up. Hey, I really do appreciate that. Thank you. Do you like CJ Uzoma and Boyd tonight? They're both going to be lower owned plays. 5K for Uzoma, 7K for Boyd. I just think they fly under the radar. So probably not in like your optimal build, both Boyd and Uzoma. But I like them for the fact that I think they will be lower owned. Let's see. Thoughts on this, DK? Let's see. Captain Chubb, OBJ, Boyd, Landry, Baker, and John Ross. I think that's pretty good. I think Chubb, the ownership is going to be a little bit lower on him, just off that last game. But he should get more. I think it'll probably be 70-30 Chubb versus Hunt if they're playing from ahead. I'm feeling Chubb at captain too. Yeah, I think he does. I think he goes a little bit lower owned than Kareem Hunt for the fact of that last game. I could do Uzoma over Ross. Ross definitely has more upside, right? If you're shooting for that upside, it's John Ross, 100%. Uzoma might have a slightly higher floor, but yeah, why would Boyd fly under the radar? He plays a lot on the side, and the Browns don't have anyone quarterbacks to cover him with it too. It's just because of his price, 7K. So if you look at the wide receivers, I don't think he's going to be that high owned. AJ Green and Odell Beckham, 2 really, really big names, wide receivers are on the slate. They're going to garner the most of that ownership. And people are probably going to play at least one quarterback and look to a running back. So it's just going to make it tricky for people to get to Tyler Boyd. And I like him for that reason. I do. I'm playing Tyler Boyd, and I'm playing him in the captain spot just because I think he goes pretty low owned on this one. AJ Green or Odell, more fantasy points? Give me Odell there. You playing Baker? I am. I've gone back and forth with roster construction on this one. There's so many different ways you can go. I don't really have a great feel. I'm actually playing both quarterbacks, kind of hoping for a shootout. I have Boyd and the captain. That's the direction I'm going. Again, it's not a great feel. Okay to fade OBJ and Green? Yeah, sure, right? This game could definitely be ugly. You don't have to play either of those guys. They will be the highest owned, though, in my opinion. Now, price point makes sense. Yeah, like I said, it's just where he's priced and looking at the other names in the slate. Just got here. Who do you like at captain? If you're going for the floor, if you're making like a cash game lineup, probably one of the quarterbacks or running backs since they have the highest floor. Upside plays for captain, Odell, I think has a bounce back spot. I like him. Boyd, if you're going for the ownership, low own play, I like his. I just think he flies under the radar. John Ross, the boomer bust play, but he's a guy that can definitely break a long one. So those are probably the guys I would look to. If you're again, it's all about how you're approaching the slate, which contest you're playing, and then how do you want to approach it, right? Do you want to get risky? Do you want to play it safe? Yeah, we got about a little under 10 minutes to lock. I'll probably stay on for another 5 minutes or so, answer any more questions you guys have. I know only about 50 viewers in here, but I really do appreciate you guys coming to check out that live stream more than you know. Thank you guys for coming and supporting the live streams. Is playing one of the defenses smart? I think you can for sure do it. For sure. This game could be ugly. We have a rookie quarterback. We have Baker Mayfield that's really struggled. There could definitely be some interceptions. All you need really is one pick six, and your defense is there. So, yes. I know I say this about a lot, but there's so many different ways you can go. Defenses are 100% play. Captain Ross season, I like it. It's risky. All you need is one big play from him, and he's going to pay off. Mixon or Odell. So, it's going to be Odell if you're going for that upside play. I think Odell has higher upside than Mixon. Safety-wise, maybe it's Mixon, but either way, I think it's going to be Odell for me. I just think he has a bounce-back game. He had 10 targets. Again, the targets were there. It's a better matchup here. Give me Odell. Playing Hodge, 3 touchdowns inbound. Hodge is my favorite dart throw. He is. He's going to play. We played over 50% of the snaps last time. If we get that again at basically the flat min, he's probably the really cheap guy that I like the most. Uzoma captain. Yeah, Uzoma's going to be low-owned. I like Uzoma. I like Boyd because they're going to be low-owned. They don't really fit the optimal build, in my opinion, but those are 2 guys that are certainly playable here. Let's see. Baker scares the shit out of me. Yeah, he's been bad. He has been bad. But that matchup was not good against Baltimore. This is a better spot against the Bengals. So I assume he has a better game today. You never know. But I assume he has a bounce-back game. Let me check on the NBA game. I know if you checked out the NBA stream, 60-47 at half. Brad Stevens using some questionable rotations. He threw Enes Kanter in there. That was unexpected. He threw Langford in there. Kemba Walker, a nice game, 14-5-2 to start. I did mention I was playing Kemba. Tyler Hero, nice game off the bench. Duncan Robinson, 12-1. He's played 18 minutes. He's already played more minutes so far than the previous 2 games. I knew we were not going to get, I was hoping we were not going to get foul trouble for a 3rd straight game. Hopefully you guys played Duncan. I played him in the 2-game slate. Looking really good there. All right, guys. I can stay on for another couple of minutes, but any other questions, I'll also get out of here. So let me know. Faded Kemba, but got Duncan, so that's good. Okay, you're in pretty good shape. Yeah, you were spot on Duncan, yes. Yeah, Duncan's looking good. The minutes are there. He's actually hitting his shots. Feel pretty good about that one. And Kemba, it was nothing more than just an ownership play for me in both the showdown and the 2-game slate. He was not going to shoot that bad forever. So he had a good first half. Things can change, but it's a good start there. How are you feeling about Austin Hooper? He's at a tricky price, right? He's at, almost 7K? He's kind of like Boyd, right? We have Boyd, we have Austin Hooper, Uzoma. Those are all guys I think go lower on the slate because let's just look at the slate with everyone, right? People are most likely going to play one quarterback. Like, I think very few people fade both. So let's just say we throw Burrow in there. I think Green and Odell are going to be in most people's lineups. And then people are probably going to try to get one running back in there. So either Mixon or Chubb or Hunt, like one of these guys, to just throw Hunt in there. It makes it tricky to get to Boyd, to Hooper, to Uzoma. Those are guys that are just going to fly under the radar on this slate. So, yeah, Hooper, at his price, he's a little bit overpriced in my opinion, but that doesn't mean he can't get you there. Like, if you were high on Austin Hooper, go for it. Browns love using 2 tight end sets. He's a guy that can go to in the red zone. Appreciate you, DK. Enjoy the games tonight. Hey, thanks, man. Stop shitting on my boy Marcus Smart. That is 100% your boy, man. You love Marcus Smart. I like Marcus Smart. I do. But like on where he's priced at on these slates, he's so close to Kemba, so close to Brown, it doesn't make sense. Like when one of those guys are out in the regular season, I'm all over Marcus Smart. I love playing him. So yeah, that's your boy. I just on these slates like right now, he's too close in price to the main guys for me to get to him or for me to prioritize him. Like I said, guys, we were about 50 viewers tonight. Not a lot, but I do appreciate each and every one of you guys coming out greatly. Like seriously, thank you guys again. I'll be live for the main slate for NFL Sunday, an hour before lock, going over everything. I'll have a showdown video up for NBA tomorrow, possibly another 2-game slate as well, or a 2-game video. We'll see how that goes. But good luck tonight, guys. If you're playing NBA, if you're playing NFL, if you're playing both, I hope you win money, and I will see you guys all later.